flash something right now.
Just had that in. So, yeah.
Who was? Depends on the song. Yeah. I feel like we can make sense of it.
Okay. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the May 10th school board meeting of the Metropolitan School District of North Posey. And we'll open the meeting by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, doesn't matter? You got two places. This is bigger and higher. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First. Absolutely. Okay. So, Mr. President, this evening we have here the middle school academic teams, I believe. So, Mr. Kavanaugh, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of stand up and use an introduction, sir.
Well, sure. First, we're very proud of our academic teams. Math, and they're just placed first in the state this year. English was 1 point away from the state championship, making them in their top 10 of the state. Science was top 10, and social studies was 2 points away from the state winner for also being in the top 10, but very close to the state. So we're very proud of all 5 of our teams that did very well this year. With that, Ms. Hall is our academic leader, and we have Matt people here.
Oh, yes. See, Jonathan Schmidt is right there. And I think our other two are not here now.
Actually, it might be the easiest, just since the bases are all covered. Carter, you want to start and we'll go all the way around and just say what team you're on and your name?
I'm Carter Shane, I'm on English too.
I'm Maggie McCutcheon, and I'm on English.
I'm Aiden McMahon, and I'm on the science.
I'm Justin Bissig, you're on history. I'm Aubrey Grant, and I'm on science. I'm on human science and social studies. I'm Katie O'Clear, on social studies.
Right up there.
I think that's all. Thank you.
I always like to recognize our academic teams because I always feel like we appreciate all of our extracurriculars, but I always feel like our academic teams are the closest to our core mission of educating our kids. And these kids probably put in as much time as even our sports teams do. So I always want to recognize them because they've done a phenomenal job, and we really appreciate that. And I know that the heritage and tradition of our academic teams here at North Posey has been a long time been outstanding in the state. And so I appreciate that these kids are continuing that heritage and continuing to build into that as we go forward. So congratulations, guys. I appreciate you coming tonight, but I definitely want to recognize you. Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so how did the competition go because of COVID? I'm sure it was a different year.
It was online. We did it from our MLC. And then once we got our scores compiled, they were compared to the other state or across the state. And that's how we came up with our scores, or how we ranked with our scores.
Very good. That's outstanding. Greg, I'd like to point out there's not a single Purdue shirt on that team.
Jonathan is wearing a mask. And I believe he wore a Purdue shirt to the competition.
Okay.
He did.
And it was sponsored by Purdue, correct? The questions were developed from Purdue. So,
I would like to give one shout out to the high school. We just found out their English team also won state. So
Just tonight, just a few hours.
Well, we appreciate it very much. That's an outstanding honor for you guys, and we look to hear more from you guys as you continue your careers.
Okay. Thank you, guys. So you do not have to stay.
It's a highly exciting meeting. I mean, you're more welcome to stay. We understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks for coming down. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
So that he can go to my office. Stairs.
Thank you.
Vince, I'm shocked your kids were in history.
Yeah.
Where'd they get that from? It's always one of the most neat things about being on this position is to recognize success of our kids. And we've got to do that quite a bit this year. Next item on the agenda is the patron's concern. I didn't see anything on the list. We'll mark that accordingly. Unless I missed anybody, did anybody plan on signing up for patron concern? Amy, mark that accordingly. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, the claim docket, the consent items. I think we have a couple of amendments to that.
I guess, Mr. President, I would like to add in a resignation from Chris Craig. She writes, I regret to inform you that my last day to work for North Posey School District as a custodian will be 5/21/21. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to work for MSD of North Posey. Sincerely, Chris Craig. We want to bring that since the time for her resignation is coming up fairly quickly.
We entertain a motion to approve the consent items with that
I'll make a
late
motion
addition.
to approve the consent items with the noted addition.
Second.
Second. So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mrs. Will to approve the minutes, claim docket consent items as presented. Any comments or questions?
Mr. President, since I've come on as the new superintendent, I've tried to be as transparent as possible to our community. Therefore, this evening, I would like to request that the board please remove my wife, Barbie Galvin, from the consent item and vote on her separately. This was not a part of my contract or an expectation of my contract. I appreciate that she has done that. And when she is voted on, I will turn the meeting over to Mrs. McMunn to make that recommendation to the board.
All right, we'll make that note as accordingly. I would like to point out, we have a few retirements here that I think are worthy of being pulled out separately, at least having mentioned of that. Mrs. Mulkey is retiring from our elementary school after 34 years. That's outstanding. We can't thank her enough. I can't imagine all the kids that she's touched and families throughout her career. Mrs. Bouchard is 19 years of service into junior high. And Mr. Strauss, he's been with us for 24 years, and I can't imagine somebody replacing him, but man, he has kept our buses running and buildings going, and he's the go-to person for all those years. So we want to, just a special shout out to those three for that. We appreciate their years of service. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. So Mrs. McMunn, he's turned it over to you, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Turn it over to you.
Well, make sure you tell me if I don't do this correctly, because I haven't done this before. I'll stand up so everybody can see me. So we have several different positions that we're filling, and a committee of myself, Mrs. Kester, 2 teachers from South Terrace, and 3 teachers from North Elementary conducted the interviews, and we interviewed all of the candidates that we have recommended. We recommend highly. One of those candidates happens to be Mrs. Barbie Galvin. We're going to recommend her for a 6th grade position. She interviewed very, very well, and we're excited to have her.
You did pretty good with that.
Did I do okay?
You know, if you do too good, you're gonna have to do it all the time. All right, so the recommendation is for Barbie Galvin as North Elementary 6th grade teacher, starting with the 21-22 school year. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve Barbie Galvin as the North Elementary 6th grade teacher as recommended by Mrs. Munn. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to introduce some of our new teachers this evening. I've asked for them to join us, just so you can kind of put a name to the face. So, Ms. McGlenn, you want to introduce yours first?
Sure.
And they may not all be here
They're not.
because some of them were, had prior commitments and stuff.
Right, so I'm gonna go down the line here of my people so that I don't forget anybody. Mallory Lowe is going to be a special ed teacher for North Elementary. She graduated, probably most of you know who Mallory is. Graduated from North Posey High School, so we're super excited to have her back. Jordan Dietz, we wave at the crowd. Jordan is gonna be a 6th grade teacher with Barbie. Tonight's the first night they're gonna meet. So we're excited. We were also very impressed whenever we interviewed him as well. And Abby Compton is also a North Posey grad. We're excited to have her come back. She went to North Elementary, so she's excited to be back in her old classrooms as well. Also, we have, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna put on the spot and I'll forget everybody. So we've got 2 6th grades, 5th grade, Abby, and well, actually, that is all that I've got. Everybody came, so now it's your.
Hi, Erin Kester, principal at South Terrace. I am going to recommend tonight Taylor Patton. She was also part of the interview team and is currently doing a 4th grade maternity leave at South Terrace. She did her student teaching in Mount Vernon and then quickly jumped on board with us to fulfill the maternity leave and is doing an outstanding job. Like always, super thankful to get North Posey grads back into the building, and she proved herself in, as well as a lot of the others in the interviews. The interview process this time was a great experience. So these candidates that are sitting before you did an outstanding job.
Yeah, we walked out walking on clouds then.
It was a good feeling to have that many good options coming to our community, and Taylor was just one of them. So we look forward to having her as part of our team.
You're welcome.
There's high school.
I know, I'll cover high school.
Okay.
So, first up here in the front row is Mrs. Ginger Angel, and she's coming to us from Central High School. She's going to be helping us out at high school in our special education department. Ginger is bringing a wealth of experience. She actually can teach math, English, and special education. So we're excited to have her, and as well as her son plays baseball, and he's going to be coming over here as a freshman. So we're excited about that as well. So and then you probably recognize the lady behind her. So she's coming back to us, and we're excited to get her back. Ward stole her from us, and then we're stealing her back. So Natalie McCall is coming in within our science department, and we're very excited about the science hires that we've had this year. Our science department is going to be, quite honestly, a very strong department going forward. So we're excited. So welcome back, Natalie. And she's also unofficially going to be teaching or coaching volleyball. So we cannot bring that to the board until later on down the road. So anyway,
No pressure there.
no pressure. I know, exactly. Did we get everybody? I think we did. So great, some really good candidates this year, and we were very happy to get. I appreciate all of our principals putting in the work and stuff, and their interview teams as well. So.
Very good.
Welcome,
Yeah,
everybody.
welcome aboard. Even better doing this in May and not in August.
That's right.
Don't jinx it.
I'm kidding, right? Yeah. Okay, new business, Mr. Governor.
First up this evening, every year, the board, I believe does this. It's, you need to approve the 2022 budget calendar. As you're aware, we began working through the budget process for the 2022 budget. And so we are bringing that budget calendar forward this evening for your consideration and approval.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mrs. Will to approve the 2022 budget calendar as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
Next up this evening, we are required to get permission from the school board to apply for the state and federal grants that we as a district have applied for. So those are pretty well including but not limited to Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, formative assessment, high ability, early intervention, Indiana Department of Homeland Security, Secure Schools, and Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. And of course, as always, if the Department of Education throws something else out there, we will go after it. So the more money we can get, the better off we are. But we're bringing those forward this evening just to seek your permission that we can apply for those. Those are usually applied for during the summer months, and so that's why we're bringing that forward this evening.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve permission to apply for the grants listed.
Second.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve the permission for applying of the grants as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
Next up this evening, you have the final recommendation for summer school 2021. There was no change from our preliminary. Just want to keep everybody, or remind everyone that high school classes are still kind of a questionable. It just really depends, how high school kids are. They don't make a decision until the final moment of what they're going to do this summer. So, but just kind of be aware that we are planning to go ahead with what we had recommended in the preliminary. So.
All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Cowling to approve the summer school lineup as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions? So I assume there was some discussion about COVID setting people back. This should capture any type of remediation that's needed.
Correct. Yep.
Jeff, I see summer band there. Is that, are you looking at having a marching band again, or is that?
We are looking at doing marching band. Yeah. Mr. Walden has been working towards this process, and so he asked to bring that summer band back this year to see it. So yeah, so we're excited. He's done a great job. It's going to be a long journey to get back, but he's doing a great job of trying to do that.
And the advanced physical conditioning, is that weightlifting? Or
That's going to be weightlifting. And we've never offered that, to my knowledge, as a summer school class. But since we are doing weightlifting, we can offer it as a class and actually get funding from the state. And so that's what we decided to do. It helps us out a little bit because we're already, Mr. Shank is actually covering that class, so we'll help cover some of that cost that we're paying to them to do that.
Any other? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
So the next item up this evening is consideration for a recommendation to create an elementary counselor position. I've shared with you in your newsletters and stuff, we are receiving quite a bit of ESSER money. And that is being specifically focused on certain items within school. One of those being social and emotional learning. Another one being learning loss. The third category kind of including improving or handling the COVID restrictions to get schools back open again, which I kind of laughed about that one because we've been open the entire year, but there are schools that are still not back yet. But so what we've tried to do is focus a lot of this towards the social emotional learning and things. So this is one here, elementary counselor. We're going to be paying this out of COVID-2 as well as COVID-3. It's going to be shared between the two elementary schools. This is, I'm not sure. I know a lot of times people have that perception of the elementary counselors that we grew up with. This has really become more of a needed position in recent time, just because of the amount of trauma that our kids are dealing with. And the elementary counselor works closely with the social workers that we have in the buildings. But what mainly happens is that what I kind of compare is the elementary counselor is like going to your family doctor, and the social worker is like going to the specialist. So your elementary counselor is going to be able to go in, work with classes, be able to do some small group lessons dealing with grief or trauma kinds of issues. She can also work with parents and dealing with parenting skills and those kinds of things. Whereas your social worker can actually handle those more severe cases, students that are struggling with suicide and grief issues and those kinds of things. So we're bringing this forward this evening for your consideration. We have to create the position first for us to then be able that process to post the position and begin the hiring process. So like I said, this is going to be paid for through the ESSER funds over the next 2-3 years.
How much total ESSER funds do we get?
So we are getting an ESSER 2, which I kind of say is Trump money. That's the money that was passed in December, about $386,000. And then ESSER 3, which was passed underneath President Biden, is going to be about $850,000. So a pretty good chunk of money for us as a school. It's probably the most money we've ever received before. And ESSER 3, 20% of it has to be focused on learning loss. So 20% has to be set aside up front. But that can also include, with the social emotional learning, the elementary counselor as well. So that learning loss and kind of incorporates a lot of different areas. So we bring that forward this evening for your consideration, Mr. President.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the creation of the elementary counselor position.
Second.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the creation of the elementary counselor position as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions?
It is a needed position and good use of some of those funds.
I agree. We've heard for several years that we didn't have enough. There was the need out.
Do I understand this will be divided between South Terrace and North Elementary?
So what they'll do is they'll probably spend a day in each of the buildings, go back and forth and stuff. So.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
As I've been sharing with the board through your newsletters, I've been looking at positions and trying to reconfigure, realign positions. We've been making some changes in central office. As you know, Mrs. Rankin's leaving. Mrs. Bender's moving into her position. We had about 3 different people in central office that were handling issues that dealt with transportation. And in addition to Jerry dealing with a lot of stuff that dealt with transportation. And so as we talked about it, we were discussing with Jerry leaving, what's the transportation department look like as we go forward? And do we really need that position? And one of the things that we looked at with the assistant superintendent is making the assistant superintendent responsible or in charge of transportation, to where Jerry's position may not need to be filled. So what this position is mainly doing is taking those responsibilities that were kind of spread out in central office, consolidating those into one person. In addition to that, we're also going to kind of locate them at the transportation garage. The other thing is we currently have a gentleman, Kenny, as you guys may know, has been doing routing for us. He's going to be moving to a bus driver position, and so we're going to eliminate that position and kind of pass this on to this person. And then the other thing we've noticed too is just trying to streamline our ordering for our custodians and stuff. And this is another way of trying to drive down some costs, rather than having 3 or 4 different individuals ordering supplies and possibly ordering more than what's needed for a specific building. But this person could actually control that inventory, be able to kind of see what we have, kind of control those requisitions and things to where we're not purchasing items that we really don't need that we may have it someplace else in another building. So once again, this is a new position, so we have to come to the board to request that we create this position. And so we're bringing that forward this evening. Like I said, what we're looking at doing is this person is kind of trying to reconfigure that transportation department and possibly not replace Jerry as we move forward and as he retires.
Entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we consolidate the positions for transportation and to the assistant superintendent.
Second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the consolidation of several positions with the creation of the transportation maintenance secretary position. Any comments or questions?
Do you see this leading to more outsourcing of mechanical work on the buses or
The buses have gotten to the point of where they were so technical as it is. Majority of the stuff we're probably outsourcing now, except for like oil changes, those kinds of basic kinds of things. So, but yeah, I mean, they're just, you almost have to, as you're aware, you almost have to roll them in because you have a warning light that comes on. So you have to take them over to, can't think of the name.
Sternberg?
Sternberg,
We
thank
see a
you.
lot of planes going.
Yes,
through Sternberg.
you're gonna take them into Sternberg. They have to hook it up to the computer, and then the computer tells them what's wrong with it and stuff. So yeah, and that's some of the reason why is just stuff is getting so technical anymore that a normal mechanic can't really fix those kinds of things. So,
Where is Sternberg? Is that Evansville or is it?
yeah, that was gone. And there's a lot of things that are changing. As you're aware, drug tests, we have to be responsible for all that. Training, we have to have all those records and stuff. So I know there's been a few years that we've had some issues with all of our records and up when they've come in and done the audit, the state police and stuff. So I think Jamie picked that up a few years ago to make sure that was being correct and things. And now the state just, I think a few weeks ago, said that any of our new bus drivers actually have to be trained by a state mandated or state licensed individual and stuff. So there's a lot of things that are being required now for transportation that wasn't there or used not to be there.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Really quickly, I was going to,
All of our teachers are visiting. You don't have to stay.
they're sitting back there and I thought, these poor people. I'm sorry. So, all right, the next part of this evening, I'm going to turn over to our technology director, Jake Regan. And really quickly, I just want to say something about Jake. Jake does a phenomenal job with our technology. And these kinds of individuals are well worth their money because you do not understand how often our system gets attacked through, and it's because of his cybersecurity that our stuff is protected. But if you do not have a good person in his position, you have a lot of issues. And so I really appreciate what Jake has done. He has really gotten us caught up a lot in our technology department. And so I truly appreciate all that he's done. He's well worth his wait and go. In fact, when the first time I met him, my first question to him was, why are you here when you can go someplace else and make so much more money? And
You're not helping us.
I know that. So, and his comment was because of the family. And so he is here because of his family and he wants to be involved with his kids. And that's really what a lot of educators do and stuff is they're here. But I truly appreciate all he does. And so I'm going to turn it over to him and kind of explain to us what his recommendation is this evening.
All right, so basically when we started 1-to-1 3 years ago, we didn't really know what to expect. We were going K through 12 all at once. We added a position for that. Sherry Schrader does a great job. We got her from Mount Vernon. She was called the traveling technology specialist. Since then, Janella Shelby retired after 30 some odd years here. So we lost her in the high school. We had 2 people at the high school. We haven't filled her position. We've also recently lost Shelby Newcomer. did a great job at South Terrace, went on to a better job opportunity, and we haven't filled that position as well. So, and kind of talking to Mr. Galvin and seeing where we could kind of save the district some money on, salary positions through addition. We kind of came up with the idea of, not filling those positions and moving, centralizing the technology department out of the high school in C1 and M11. This will basically allow the technology department to kind of be more of a team and be able to collaborate better. In our field, if you've got different people at different buildings, Tiffany at North Elementary does a great job also. She might be having an issue and the person at South Terrace should have the same issue, but if they're not communicating, they don't know that it could be a district-wide issue. Moving that department in together, we kind of help collaborate and help find district-wide issues like that. I propose what we do is we move Tiffany out to the high school with Sherry, as well as myself, and then we've hired, I don't know if it's been approved, but we're recommending Brian Wilson to be hired as the e-learning technology specialist. That would leave basically North Elementary, South Terrace without a technology specialist, but to kind of help them know that they're still being supported, we come up with basically SLAs, service level agreements that basically says we would basically touch every case that has been opened within 24 to 48 hours in a normal status. We'll also implement something where they can submit a high priority ticket that would have to be addressed within 2 hours. Also, what I'm looking at doing is creating a help desk phone line to where if we can get all the techs in the same room, we can basically have this phone line. Office personnel, I don't know if teachers would necessarily be able to use it very well. North Elementary and South Terrace, they all have phones in their classrooms, so they can pick up the phone in an emergency situation if their new line board is not working and things like that, and call us and we can get somebody out there right away. But also office personnel, like your secretaries, counselors, things like that use PCs. We have a PC-Matic, which is also our antivirus software. It also allows us to remote in those PCs and help them remotely as well. Thinking about this, it's just really the case levels. I've been tracking our cases for about a year now. And in the South Terrace and North Elementary case, I'll just give you last month here, for example. They just don't have as many kids and as many devices, but in April we had 31 cases at South Terrace, created 42 at North Elementary, and we had 157 cases created in the high school. So when you've got one person out of high school trying to do that job and she's getting bombarded, it'd just be better to pull all your, support personnel at the place that's really getting slammed with the tickets. We've got several project lead way labs out there. We've got business labs out there. We've got 3D printers. We've got Glowforge machines. We've got twice as many classrooms, things like that. So that's just kind of how we justify that. Another thing that I'm really suggesting is, like right now, they're considered computer coordinators. That was back whenever they had like computers in a lab environment, and that's all they did was they supported those computers. These guys, they support everything with webcams, new line boards, wireless access points, Chromebooks, PCs, kind of changing their job title from computer coordinator to like a technology specialist, and we're going to level those out like technology specialist 1, technology specialist 2, then we got your e-learning technology specialist, and then you have the technology director in that department.
The other thing too that I was going to point out as well is that the first go around that we did with Chromebooks, we didn't have enough extras, spares to put out in the classrooms, and so that was some of the issue was that we needed those individuals in the buildings because they could get to the classroom immediately, get those issues fixed. We're now starting to replace that first set of Chromebooks this year with the ESSER funds. That's one of the things that we have listed is begin that replacement. And so that's gonna allow Jake and his team to push more extras back out into the classroom. So we're looking at about what, 2 to 3 per classroom, plus probably about 10 in each of the schools. So that way then a teacher can just give them a spare right away and then be able to meet that 24 to 48 hours of response time and stuff. So, so really quite honestly, the dynamics of where we started at when we first rolled out the Chromebooks are changing a little bit for us.
Yeah, we deployed 1,600 devices all in that 1 month. Now we're going to start trying to roll those out by 350, 400 devices each year. So we're slowly rolling those out. That also allows us, you know, when you've got like 1,600 devices and they all have bugs, then you've got 2% of those devices coming back in. It's hard to support as to where if you roll out 300 to 400 devices at a time, that lot might have a bug, but that 1% is a lot smaller than that 1,600. And then you get the next, you know, group coming in that might have a bug, but you can kind of fix those bugs as you go. So.
The other thing is the new Chromebook rollout that we're going to be doing is going to have insurance on it as well. So all those units will be able to just ship those back, and they'll be able to take care of some of those issues rather than us being able to do it. We just got a really good deal on the insurance, and we discussed it, and we felt like that it was worth the money to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, the insurance actually comes with the max case Chromebook covers. So you know, by the time we were looking at purchasing those cases for an extra $20, we could get a 4-year accidental drop protection insurance on those devices as well, and it came with a max case. So that was a pretty good deal.
Bring that forward this evening for your consideration, Mr. President.
Entertain a motion.
I'd like a motion that we approve the recommendations from Mr. Rankin for the technology department.
Second.
Second.
So a motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mrs. Will to approve the recommendation by Mr. Regan to make the changes to the technology department as presented. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, you were talking about cases per grade school, junior high. Is that problems with computers or jobs that you have to fix, or what do you mean by it?
Oh, you mean tickets? Yeah, it's basically
It's
ticketing
tickets,
software.
okay.
That basically, anytime they have an issue, we request that they fill out that ticket so we can track what kind of issues we're having with those devices.
That's what I was.
And the one thing I noticed on the e-learning technology, we kind of cut it off there, but he's going to be providing professional development to the teachers, but also supporting and working with the tech department out there as well. We felt like that this was a good use of his time. We did not want him to just be sitting around. We wanted to make sure that you know, there was definitely some usage there of his time and stuff. So,
And I'll say our technology is, you know, it's got a pretty good reputation that you compare to other schools, and they know what we have done and the rollout of one-to-one at the K-12 level. That doesn't happen everywhere. So kudos to Jake and the team for doing that. Appreciate it. Entertain a motion, or we have the motion on the floor, sorry. Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
thank you, Jake. Next up this evening is we have a consideration for the proposal of Frontline Education for Frontline Central Solution, recruiting and hiring solution. This is an electronic employee records management system. We are purchasing or bringing this forward this evening to utilize some of our ESSER funds. And the way we do this is that it limits the amount of exposure that our central office staff has. But really the main reason for doing this is that, believe it or not, there's a certain element of turnoff to millennials when they have to go into our site and have to download an application and print that application out and fill it out. Millennials are very much tech savvy. They want to be able to handle everything electronically. So what this system will allow us to actually do is to begin moving towards an electronic personnel file. And so they will actually apply online through this system. We will then allow the principals can go in, they can view all the applications for certain positions wherever they are. In addition to that, like for example, this evening, once we approve all these individuals this evening, tomorrow morning, Amy can push one button and push out those electronic application, that packet to every one of those employees, and they can receive that, complete that in electronically, and submit that back to us. So it also cuts down on the expense and the cost for our human resources as well. Amy, do you want to say anything about this? Because I know you spoke with the salesperson and
I'm very excited. Like you said, I've had so many calls of applicants saying, well, how do I submit that application to you? So we do have them online, but like I said, you have to download it and then scan it, email it to me, mail it to me, fax it to me. And they're like, I can't just hit a button. So I know that's going to be key in the hiring piece of it. I'm also very excited about the Frontline Central, which is the piece that all that paperwork, which Mr. Galvin is the one that came to me. He's like, I have a paperwork of new hires. So, every summer I sit in the office and I have the conference room full of all the packets that I'm building for all the new hires. So it's a large packet of paperwork, and it's pretty overwhelming for the new hires to come in and see this packet of paper. And so then they fill it out and do that. So this is going to be a streamlined experience. This summer will be a little crazy for me because I'll have to help build and get those forms that are custom for us into the system. But then I'm hoping that, next year it'll be just, like I said, so simple and probably take a little of my summer extra hours out. So I'm excited about it. So I'm really hoping you approve.
And also from a candidate side of it too, if I have applied to a position previously in a frontline, and like I see a position come up here, I can very easily just hit with the push of a button, move my application over to ours and not have to go back in. So it really becomes something that's user friendly as well, and really helps out in those kinds of situations. So,
Will the old paper thing be available for dinosaurs like me? Or?
No, it won't be available, but we will have assistants set up for the dinosaurs. We've already talked about that, because, we're still hiring, I don't mean to say that they're dinosaurs, but, cafeteria people, our bus drivers, they're not as tech savvy as maybe a teacher might be. So what we're gonna do is, the tech department's gonna have a couple of Chromebooks available for me so that they can actually come in and I can kind of help them and guide them through the paperwork.
Lead them through it.
Yes. Yes.
All right,
bring that forward. Decisions are.
do I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we purchase ESSA, or is that what? No, that's not right. Frontline program.
Second.
Second.
So a motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the purchase of the Frontline system as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any other comments or questions?
This is also being purchased with those federal funds.
Correct, and this is going to be a 3-year subscription for it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
We have no personnel this evening, Mr. President.
No professional leaves.
No professional leaves.
And-
Everybody's going on summer break.
Former board member, Mr. Bender he would love this. We should take a picture and send it to him.
First off, just we mentioned a lot this evening, ESSER 2 grant presentation. I want to talk just a little bit about that. What we've been trying to use the ESSER 2 funds and ESSER 3 funds for as we work through these processes. ESSER 2 is actually due May 15th. ESSER 3 will be due in June. Is number one, to definitely meet the letter of the law of what their expectations are of this. And number two, to try to make some, protect some of our local funds. Get some things done that need to be done, but at the same time protect our funds and our education as well as our operations to kind of prepare for those, what we don't have any clue of whether those rainy days will come or not. So as I've stated earlier, we're going to be definitely pretty well 3 years worth of Chromebooks. We're going to purchase 1 year this year. This will be for the 7th and 8th grade as well as the freshmen. So that Chromebook purchase will be this year. The other thing that we've also wanted to try to do is use this to get some things that we necessarily would not normally get. So we are buying Ality. There's going to be 30 in a set. And so each of the schools will be able to have a virtual reality set of goggles or glasses, which will allow our kids to do some things. We've talked a little bit about the curriculum mapping. Frontline, as you talked about this evening. Social emotional learning PD. We are currently talking to Dr. Lori DeSaltes, who is with Butler University, and she does a lot of information or a lot of work with neuroscience and social emotional learning, resilience, mindfulness, those kinds of things, and that's really the big thing. I do want to say, because you are hearing this on the national news, within the social emotional learning, it is not the critical race theory. We are not going down that road. So I know that's out there. That's being discussed, and it's being, like I said, it's being discussed as part of social emotional learning, but we will not be heading down that road. The other thing is just doing some professional development for our counselors. Like we've said, they're dealing with a lot of issues, so I'm sending them to the American School Counselor Association Conference, so they have that. The other thing we're going to do is reimburse the district for the COVID sub-costs. And that amount to about $18,000, and so we'll be reimbursing ourselves for that money for the individuals leaving with COVID. Also, we're looking at custodial supplies, getting new vacuum cleaners, some new a new machine. It's a disinfecting machine that can actually go in and disinfect bathrooms very quickly and very efficiently. As I stated earlier, the ESSER 3 grant is mainly 20% of that has to be set aside for learning loss. So we're looking at some different things with that. The elementary school counselor, we've discussed that this evening. We're also looking at doing a toolbox that's in conjunction with the iReady benchmarks. And this is kind of more of the remediation activities and things like that. Once again, kind of coming back to saving us some money as well, we're looking at the replacing the HVAC system at the junior high in the office area. So we're looking at some money to do that, because if you improve air quality, that's one of the areas that that is permitted with this. And Shannon, I can't read your writing on this one. So what's that? Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, yeah. So, the last one here, we've discussed this and gone back and forth, and we're still studying this, but we would like to, with the ESSER 3, we would really like to look at the full-day preschool program. We really feel like that there are some kids, we know that there are some quality preschool programs in the area. And once a parent starts their child in that preschool program, it's hard to rip them away from their friends that they've gotten to know in those, and then bring them back to us. And so we're discussing that not next year, but the following year, possibly introducing that preschool program, full-day preschool program. So we have some cost in there for that. We feel like that this would be a good startup money to be able to get this program going, to then possibly be able to support itself as we go forward. The only issue we're running into, of course, as you all know, is that we're very limited on space, or actually at capacity at South Terrace. And so how do we balance that whole situation? So that's why we're going to take about a year to kind of plan that out and decide how we want to handle that. But that's something else we're definitely looking at. So I just wanted to bring to the board this evening what kinds of things that we're looking at, and trying to be creative with this money, but at the same time also try to help our own funds out and try to get some things done as we move forward and stuff. So, any questions on that? Okay. You also have this evening the good news report. A lot of great things are happening. Of course, we announced, and we'll be continuing to announce and be putting out more press releases. Channel 7, I think, already contacted me. We're going to be contacting Chelsea Parker at Channel 14. But all of the schools within North Posey has received STEM certification. We are the second district in the state of Indiana that has achieved the STEM certification. And this evening, Mrs. Bender is here. Dr. Bender is here, and I really want to give kudos to her. Please stand up, Dr. Bender. So this was the first time. And very fitting this evening that she's here to be recognized for her retirement, but also we just appreciate her having the vision and ingenuity to begin this process. And so, Angie, we really appreciate you doing that. And thank you. And I think this is definitely something that shows your legacy and touch on this district as you move into retirement. So, so we appreciate that. But a lot of great things have been going on. Of course, as we finish out this year, I want to go down here really quickly because I think we often talk about different things that happen in our school district that makes us special here at North Posey. And last week we were talking about the why. Why is North Posey special? And we had our North Posey prom on Saturday, May 1st. And we want to congratulate Brooke Coleman and Alex Bear as our North Posey prom queen and king. But Alex, as you know, is one of our special needs students, I believe, at the high school. And it was an honor for him to receive that night. And it was really touching that our kids recognized him that way. And that really shows we have some good kids. And I think it's an honor for us to have done that. So I wanted to recognize that this evening. So,
not to interrupt, but I think to piggyback that, obviously my daughter's a junior, so I get to be your daughter's in there as well. Get to interact with several of those kids, and the fact that we decided to wait and make a decision about prom when everybody else was putting pressure to cancel prom and make adjustments to prom. We got all kinds of kudos from different folks in the communities and really some jealousy from other districts because we did not put limitations and other schools did, whether it was not allowed underclassmen to attend or allow outside students to attend. And it was really enjoyable to see that day, those kids really having, and that might have been one of the first normal moments these kids have had in 2 years. And that was really enjoyable to see. And we can't thank the school enough for allowing that and really making an effort for them to enjoy that. They'll remember that night way more than they do a lot of the other nights that go on in the school year.
And Dr. Streeter and his team did a great job. I really thank him for working through that process and everything. So, don't forget, graduation is coming up on May 28th. I want to invite everyone to that. You should have a packet, I believe, at your desks or at your seats for that evening. And as we stated this evening, we're going to have a short reception afterwards for Dr. Camp as well as Dr. Bender and Mr. Bender, our school board attorney, who stepped down after several years serving this board. Unfortunately, Dr. Camp was unable to be here this evening due to a family matter, and he asked that I read a statement from him. It says, Mr. Galvin and members of the board, I regret to say that I am unable to attend tonight due to my unforeseen family matter in which I had to travel out of town. My career at North Posey encompassed over a 20-year period, which I have enjoyed. I would like to thank so many people who have helped in our successes over the past years. Thank you to everyone who believed in me and helped achieve the success levels in academics, financial stability, and operations during my tenure. Our main goal was to create the best learning environment for our students while maintaining financial stability during the turbulent financial times of the state of Indiana. I believe we were successful, and I have been very proud to say I was and still am a Viking. Good luck to the next leadership, and I only wish North Posey the best. Thanks again. Signed, Dr. Todd Camp. And Dr. Camp, as you know, has always been very fond of the transportation department, so he'll be joining us for the luncheon this year on May 19th and enjoying that time with the bus drivers and stuff. So do not forget, the next board meeting will be on Monday the 14th, and I believe it seems to be the working session date, I think June 24th was the best. Vince, I think we're the only one that could not come on the 24th, is that right? Okay. So I think that's what we're going to shoot for, is the 24th, if everybody's okay.
Did you say June or May?
May. Yeah, May. May 24th. And Vince, if you're available, we could probably Zoom you in if you want to. Okay. So we'll put that on the calendar and that will be, starting at the same time we usually do. That'll be for strategic planning, so it'll be a working session. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the cause? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, heard Mr. Schmidt. We have a motion by Mr. Collins, second by Mr. Schmidt to adjourn. We are so adjourned.
What time is the work session? 5:30.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I think it was.
4:30.
yeah.
Is it on the email?